Alright, what's going on, guys? Today I'm showing you a quick and easy way to save and load your games in GameMaker. Man, that was a lot of games. Anyways, let's get into it. So basically, GameMaker has its own built-in system, and that's what a lot of people want to use. They want to use this save and load, this quick drag and drop, right? But it never really works. So basically, I'm going to be showing you how to do it with INI files. INI files are pretty simple. I'm going to be showing you the easiest way to do it. Basically, you're going to be creating a file that saves variables and strings. You need to kind of know a little bit of code to do this. Not too much though, don't worry. And even if you don't know code and you're using pure drag and drop, you can use this in key places and just copy down my code pretty much word for word and just replace it with your specific game requirements, and it should work fine. So basically what you're going to need to do is first check if they've played the game already, right? So if file exists, bear with me, I'll explain this all in just a second. Alright, so when this is created, this is my game. Actually, I haven't showed you the game. So the game is really simple, right? It's just one room, 2 characters, a score, and that's it. So that's all there is to this game, right? So this is going to be a little bit more simple than what would be in yours, more than likely. So when this is created, it's going to see if file exists save.sav. It's going to look in this system's directory, whatever system is running this. It's going to look in the directory for it. If it doesn't see it, then it's going to pass on and do this. This bit I'll explain a little bit later. First off, actually we have to open the file because all we've done up here is just see if it if it even exists. So what we're going to do is we're going to open, and just to make sure we do it, I always do this. I close it as soon as I open it. Well, I'm writing down the code to do that. Okay, so we've got 2 of the most important things. We've only got 1 more line of code, and literally, guys, that's it. Alright, so last line of code is probably the biggest one. It's probably going to be the most confusing. Obviously, you're going to have those in pretty much every little thing like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to read from this file. Now, there's 2 types of reading. There's reading real and there's reading a string. A real is numeric value, while string is going to be your alphabet. So ABCs, that kind of thing. So since what I'm trying to save is a score, it's going to be numeric. So I'm going to use real. I'm going to write out a little bit of code here, and then I'm going to explain it right after. Okay, so we're reading from the INI file, and actually I can show you what an INI file kind of looks like. This will probably help you understand a little bit more, maybe not. It depends on what kind of learner you are, I suppose. So an INI file has categories, basically. Alright, so this is what a typical INI file would look like. Alright, so this is what is known as a section. So a section is basically a big chunk of the INI file. So you'd have different values underneath this section. They're typically put in brackets like this in the INI file. You can name these whatever you want. It's specific to your game, right? So for mine, I'm using player because it's the player score. I'm using scored because if I use score, it's going to read a different value because I've been testing this. That's a little, you don't need to worry about that. So this is what it would look like if this file existed, right? This wouldn't, I just have this to explain something else in a second. So this would actually be in the file. This is what this file would look like if I just played the game and got a score of 10. Right here is what the file would look like. So it's going to say, all right, this guy wants to read save.sav. He wants to look under the section player. Okay, so here's the section player. Now he's looking for the key scored. All right, well, here's scored. Well, scored is equal to 10. Well, I don't have anything to set that to, so it's basically just doing nothing right now. So what I need to do is set a variable to this to remember what it's reading, right? So mine is global.scores, and that's what I set it equal to. All right, so let's say my ini file is actually different, and it says scores with a Z. Well, this is where this number comes in. If it can't find either the section or the key, it's going to return with the default, which is 0. So it's pretty much just like starting fresh, right? This down here is just to show you that there can be other sections in this ini file. So you can have all your settings, your values, your variables, everything in one ini file. I don't know if there's a limit. I haven't worked with them that much to really know. But you can have a lot in these. So whatever your game is, probably can use ini files. It may be better to use something else, but I mean, definitely for a small game, this is perfect, right? So let's go over this again. Let me write down some comments. All right, so we're checking as soon as the game starts if they've played before. So it's looking for save.sav. All right, save.sav exists. All right, let's open that up. Save.sav is now open. We're looking in there under the section player for scored, and then it's going to return the value of scored and set that equal to global.scores. Then we're going to close it to prevent memory leaks and bad things happening. Now let's say this is their first time playing. Well, this isn't going to exist, so it's going to pass all this and go on to here, and they're going to start fresh with a score of 0. Oops. I don't know why. I guess that was just a force of habit. Alright, now we've got the loading, but we need to do one more thing. We need to save before we can load, right? So you need to pick a place to save. Not necessarily just one place, but for now, just pick a place. So for me, it's going to be when the enemy dies. So right here, if his HP is less than or equal to 0, number 1, global.scores plus equals 5. So the score is going up by 5. And that's where I want it to be, right? Now it's important that I don't save before this, because if I do, then the score, it's going to save before the score increases. So in my game, the score would always be 5 less than what I actually earned. If that makes sense, I hope it does. It did to me anyways. So we're going to do a couple things different here. It's basically the same thing though. You're going to open the ini file. Make sure it's the same, because if you open up a different one, you're going to be getting none of the variables. I think it actually creates it, so if this doesn't exist, it's going to create one. Right? So even if it doesn't exist, it's going to create one for you. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and close. Now instead of writing, instead of reading, we're going to be writing this time. So same thing, just replace read with write. Once again, you can have real or strings. Now this time it's a little bit more complicated. First off, you don't need to set this to anything, because all you're doing is writing. You're not reading it. So once again, you're doing sections. So what did I do? I did player. What was it? It was scored, I believe. Now what do I want this to be? Well, I want it to be global.scores. I always do this. When I'm trying to type fast, I do global, whatever. Alright, so I hope you can see this and understand what this is. Basically, we're opening up the save.sav every time the enemy dies. Then we're going to write our score to the section player under key scored. Then obviously we're going to close. Alright, so that should be it for our little saving and loading thing. I may have a little bit of that wrong. I can't remember if it was scored or if it was scores. Yeah. Alright, now this time it should work. Alright, so we got a score of 5. Let's go up to 10. Alright, so now we have a score of 10. As you saw, we started with a score of 0. So let's play again. So we just saved it and then loaded again. Oh, looky there. Score of 10. Isn't that fantastic? Now you can do this again. So if we have a score of 15 now, if we load out, and boom, score of 15 again. Now let's say your game's a little more complicated, right? And you want to save in different places. You want to be able to save, you want to have an autosave feature, but you also want your players to manually save. Well, that's pretty easy. Basically, you're going to make a script. I already have this set up because it's the same exact code. Nothing has changed. You're just writing it in a script, and that's basically it. So I need to change one thing real quick. Alright. So go to scripts, name it whatever you want. Probably going to just use this. I mean, there's nothing, you can't really get creative with that. So it's doing the exact same thing, but instead of typing all that out, everywhere we want to save, all we have to do is that. That's it. That's how simple it is. So you can do this in different places. Like, this is my autosave feature, right? But let's say I wanted to have a button here, right here, that saved it. All I would do is create that button. Oh, great. No, I can't. There we go. Create that button, and every time they click it, run that script. And that's all you have to do. It's that simple. You may even want to have, well, you don't really need that for loading, but for saving, definitely. Especially if you're going to save in different places. It just saves time. So let's make sure it works again. Wait, actually 15. Wasn't it 20? Pretty sure it was. It's a little odd. That maybe have something to do with, because I've created 3 different types of this practicing before. As you can see, it definitely works. Let's get up to 35 and we'll restart and load again. Yeah, so as you can see, it works. It's probably something I did along the way. I have 3 different things under my INI file. So one thing I want to do is I want to find the INI file that I've created, and I want to show it to you. If that's possible, you'll see it. If not, sorry. So I'm going to pause here. BRB. Alright, so this is pretty cool. I was able to find it. So as you can see, I actually did it 4 times. I thought I did it 3, but apparently I did it 4. But as you can see, this is what was probably something I did. This is what a typical save.sav looks like. It's fairly simple. And actually what you can do is you can go in here and edit this. So I can say, like, I have that much score. Control S, save it, go back in here, run that bad boy, and I'm pretty sure, yep, there's my score. That's it for this tutorial. Next tutorial, I'm thinking about doing pause screens. Look out for that tutorial. Bye.